All right, I'd like to spend a few moments to go over syncing with DX Fleet. What is syncing? How do we sync? What settings are being read? So let's go over the settings and sync. The way to consider syncing is we have two different versions of settings that are in DX Fleet. We have site settings, we have global settings. Now, what's the difference between site settings and global settings? So global settings are going to be things like your settings that are global to all of your sites in your organization. So that's going to be things that are on this system configuration page here. You're going to be looking at things like your product codes, your restrictions, how your cards are set up and functioning. All of these are going to be the same across all of your sites. So we want all the sites to be configured in the same way so that they're all being utilized in the same way for how your cards function, for example. Your products, we want to make sure that your product codes, code one unleaded in this case, is code one unleaded for all of your sites. That's going to make sure that when those transactions get imported to DX Fleet, that they are going to have the same product code for the same across all of your sites. So that is going to be what is considered global. Things are the same across all of your sites. So when we go back to sync here and we go to just read, so we have the global settings, everything that's across all of your sites, and we have site specific settings. Those are going to be under the sites tab in the edit site button. And here you're going to have things like your actual site configuration, your pump controllers, your terminal, things that are specific to that site. So just because you're using, unleaded at one site, you don't necessarily have to use it at another site. Your pumps and your positions and your product, they may vary from site to site, but you want to make sure that those global settings are the same across everything. So site-specific settings for those configurations are going to be under the sync and then the site setting. Jumping back over to sync again, so we have a few different options. We have read and send. So reading is the ability to have the data from your fuel site controller and bring it into DX Fleet. So if we were to read site settings, we'd be backing up those pumps and those pump controller settings and terminal settings into DX Fleet. When we read global, we're basically overriding what's in DX Fleet for the global settings, which are, the product codes, the product restrictions, and those other things that are considered global settings. Now, when you want to do the global settings read is when you first start your organization, you get everything configured the way you want it, you back up the global settings the first time. After that, you probably don't necessarily want to read global settings unless you're making big changes to your organization. It will override what's in there. So if one site has different restrictions set up than another site, and you back that up global settings, you potentially can erase what's in there for your other sites in DX Fleet. So you want to be careful reading global settings because it just understand that it will override those product codes, those restrictions, anything that's global, written. So that's going to be important to pay attention to. Sending is the opposite. We're taking the settings that are in DX Fleet. So say you have a new site, you configured in DX Fleet. Now you're going to push those settings down. Now here's how you do that. You would hit send site settings, and it's a new site and it's, the FSC 3000 is not configured. You would push site settings and global settings, and that would push all the settings down from DX Fleet to your fuel site controller. That is reading and sending. One other thing to keep in mind is that when you are on the site page and you're in the options for changing your site and your pumps, if you make a change here, most of the pages have a send option. So if you need to make a change, you could just update this, hit save, it'll bring you back to this page, and then you could hit send. That's going to differ from sending the site settings like we did sync option. In the sense that it's only going to send these pump configuration changes that you just made. So any of the pumps that are here are going to send. But say the terminal option over here would not send. So just keep that in mind if you want to make a singular change to pump restriction or a timeout or something like that. You can go to that individual page, make sure you save the change, and then hit send, and that will push that change down to the fuel site controller for just that change. And that's how you would go ahead and send site settings and send local settings for individual changes that you make in DX Fleet.